How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield. All right, what's up, warriors? Welcome back to the Battlefield of Mind. So, Rick here, and I'm here today with Christian Ray Flores. Now, he's got a pretty impressive background, and he's going to tell you more about who he is so we can get on this conversation you guys can't wait to hear. Christian, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Rick. Explaining in a precise way what I am, it's sort of hard. I basically, right now I'm an entrepreneur. I do some philanthropy work, and I do a lot of coaching. It's high performance coaching, personal branding coaching. That's what I focus on primarily. And I have married 3 daughters. I have a very strange background when it comes to origin story, because I grew up in a lot of turmoil. Let's put it that way, right? So I'm half Chilean, half Russian. I was born in Moscow. We moved to Chile when I was a baby, and then I was 5 years old when there was a military coup there. My dad was in a concentration camp. I was a refugee. We moved around as refugees essentially to Germany, Russia, then Africa, my dad was basically an expat there working, and I grew up there, one of the poorest countries in the world. We saw a civil war unfold as we were there. So all of these things, by age 7, I had changed 4 countries, and by age 9, I learned 4 languages. Then all of it changed again. My parents divorced, went back to Russia during the Soviet Union. So we experienced a lot of poverty, right? Bread lines, ration cards. I slept in the kitchen for years, that sort of type of stuff. And basically, the whole thing really turned quite dramatically as I was graduating college with a degree in economics. And I was basically creative my whole life. I was a dancer, I was a singer, and I always thought of it as just a fun thing. And then I eventually go, maybe I'll give it a try. So instead of going into trade or banking, I went into music, pop music, in literally a recently collapsed Russian empire. So the whole thing collapsed around me right as I was graduating from college. I was like, well, everything's collapsing. I might as well try something new, right? And that changed my life, because I basically became one of the top pop stars in all of that space, 15 different countries, and launched me into all kinds of things: entrepreneurship, music, production, creativity, philanthropy, and that's the origin story.
There's a lot going on here. I want to ask a question as far as how your perspectives go. I think in this field, we both get to work with people who are trying to do better. And they'll run into the excuses, the blame, shame, and judgment, and these things like, oh, I don't know if I could do that, and it's too hard, and I can't overcome this. And it's one of the patterns I've seen is that people who have gone through really, really difficult things seem to make less excuses. What is the thing that you've seen in this field where I want to start a brand, I want to start my own thing, but you watch them, these little molehills destroy them, and you're like, you never had to sleep in the kitchen, you didn't have to go through this stuff. What's your opinion?
Well, I think it's sort of the adage is actually true that hard times create good people, good people create good times create weak people, and weak people create hard times. So that's the cycle. Now, I think you can break the cycle with your children if you parent well, but that seems to be the natural flow of things, right? So if you're born to a lot of hard times, it sort of creates character, all kinds of things, a lot of passion, a lot of fuel. I call that fuel in my coaching. We're all fueled by something, and it's always like multiple streams of fuel, some of it good, some of it pretty dark, and sort of dissecting the kind of fuels that drive you forward is, I think, a key thing.
Yeah, making strong people in all times is one of the quotes that we say too.
Yeah.
It's I don't wait just for the hard times. We make strong people in all times.
At all
our
times,
people
absolutely.
always ready.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So right now, people in just your industry, because I think people are like, okay, so what do I do if I want to work with Christian? What's his thing? So I can go I want to do that. Do I work on my business with you? Do I work on my music career with you? What do I do?
Well, it's really, it's maybe two big buckets, right? One is a category of people who are just already doing well, and they just want to be in high performance mode as much as possible. So it's sort of this long term, hey, I need somebody to look over my shoulder, get on a call with me, walk with me, talk me off the ledge kind of thing, and fine tune me, help me create a life that supports the drive, the passion that I have to do certain things, and not pay too dearly for my mistakes. That's one mode, right? It's high performance. The other mode is building a personal brand, and that is basically the kind of person that goes, I think my expertise is undervalued. I in this particular setup, and it could be everything. It could be you have your own thing. You could be an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur. You can be in the corporate world. You can be a socialpreneur, like let's say a charity a person, nonprofit person, pastor, or any of those things. And we find ourselves oftentimes sort of accomplished on paper, but under, activated inside. And we know when it's true. And so on paper we can go, yeah, I have the whatever, the role, the respect, the maybe the socioeconomic status, etc., the accomplishments. But I know in the heart of hearts that there's more to me than this, and I need to figure out how do I activate my whole self. And I think the best way to do that is to develop a personal brand. A personal brand is essentially your reputation at scale. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be the person go to, that the person who people go to for this thing that you're particularly passionate about? And it's an incredible paradigm shift, because we're all of our lives we're giving sort of these rules of the game, right? The and these are good things. Our parents, it starts with the parents, then teachers, then society, then the culture around us, the ethos of where we're born, all of those things. These are playbooks, and they're there to help us establish ourselves, not to make too many mistakes. I think all of us reach a point where somebody else's playbook stops being the thing that really opens us up, right, in service to others. So there's a point where the best thing you can do is to burn the playbook and own your own game. And that is pretty scary. And that's probably the inflection point in which people come to me. How do I burn the playbook? I don't like the playbook anymore.
The limiting beliefs that come from the playbook itself, because you're learning from people that
Yeah.
never went as far as you want to go. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
This is great. So from high performer to underactivated, the people who are this range that you're in, you have a good question. And this is where I want to ask you your question.
Yeah.
What do you want to be known for? What's the passion inside of you? What's your thing that you want to be known for?
I want to be known as the person who helps the most gifted, extraordinary people flourish at scale. That's what I want to be known for. And I'll tell you why. The origin story of that. I was 26 years old. I was playing, by that time, sports arenas, selling millions of albums. I had a series of hits back to back to back across 15 different countries. And I had the top hit, the number one hit was literally everywhere. Every radio, every TV station, everywhere. For a musician, that is, less than 0.5% of musicians who try ever get to experience that kind of life. And I was living it. And I was clinically depressed. And I realized that although I can be in the top 0.5% in one area, I can be in the bottom top 5% in 2 or 3 other areas, and that's going to drag me down. And even the top 5% stuff is going to suffer because of the bottom top 5%. I just realized that. And I was very cocky, I was very ambitious, and I was very humbled in that moment. And I stumbled upon this guy. I was introduced to this Canadian missionary. He was a pastor. His name's Andy Fleming. And I was at his house, and I was just heartbroken. We're having pizza, and I had just, my family life, like romantic life rather, didn't have a family yet, had fallen apart. Now, because I come from 3 generations of broken homes. It has nothing to do with music. It has nothing to do with show business. but it was tearing me apart, right? And I was at his house, and we're in this kitchen, and he has this family. He has this sweetness around his family, right? And I literally had this moment where I turned to him, and I kid you not, this is what I said. I said, "How do I get what you have?" And he's just a missionary, like a humble missionary, and I'm this pop star, right? Everybody knows who I am in the country. And he says, "I'll teach you if you listen." And I said, "I'll do anything." And that's what happened. And he changed my life. So step by step, he helped me. He put me back together. And because of the role of this one person, I was able to heal, to have a family of my own. We're about to celebrate 26 years of marriage. I have 3 daughters. I learned so much more about all the things that I was lacking, and I've been able to live a much richer, broader, more impactful life because of this one person. And that's why I coach. I coach because one person can make a dramatic difference in the life of another person who might be on the surface extremely successful and gifted, but has some real needs.
It's powerful stuff. I like the way that you're saying this. Let's just call it what it is. Very few people will understand. Like, this because like how many people have ever gotten to this level that you're talking about to even like connect with like, oh, I understand that level of what you're speaking with, and I've had people who like were at this level and then fell off. Mm-hmm. And I called it like the fall from Olympus because they were in such severe depression after they got to eat with the gods. And then all of a sudden now you're not invited anymore or you don't fit in there. It's a very difficult thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's a real thing.
And I think maybe if you like, why do I do what I do? I actually have deep compassion for people like that because that's who I am. That's who I was, right? And I think people that are we put the successful in our lives, the people that we know or hear about on a pedestal, and it doesn't serve them well, right? We are intimidated by them. Even the people who work for them or work around them, they don't speak the truth to them. They get isolated. They get really lost, even at the peak of their success. And I have actual compassion. I care so deeply about the high performers because they are so lonely and they have such disadvantages. Even it's paradoxical to say that, right? But they have very real disadvantages in life. And I like being that person who fixes that, who helps them.
It's very difficult to do this. It's very cool that you're doing this too. That relatability is rare. And it's a very cool thing that you can do that because I have had to have those conversations where they're like, nobody gets it, man. They think they get it, but they don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to find like there's a human being underneath this thing that you're idolizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they're all, it's so amazing to be able to have the trust of people like that, right? Of all kinds of levels, right? It doesn't have to be all these like mega stars. I've coached some Olympic athletes and artists, and still coach some entrepreneurs that are pretty high level. But even you step 3 or 4 steps down, it could be professors, it could be bankers, it could be lawyers, it could be managers, it could be entrepreneurs, startup guys. They're all it's just extraordinarily driven. There's something there. There's a fuel there's rocket fuel in their hearts. And then at the same time, there's real moments of weakness and lostness and shame and confusion and anxiety all the time. And we never see that because it's so socially unacceptable. It's not normalized to be vulnerable about, I wake up, I can't sleep at night because of this thing, right? I can't tell you how many stories I have of people who I would never think would have this level of inadequacy, who have complete inadequacy at moments. And if they have somebody in their life who they trust and they can just call and say, hey, here's exactly what I'm feeling. Help me out here, and that's on the sort of lower, elevating the low moments. But a big thing that I love doing is maximizing the high moments, right? How do you get to a level of, building such a focus from the things that you're really truly good at, that you become well known in your space, right? And that's another passion of mine, is that and it's really cool because it's a lot of it is principles that are fairly universal, proven, not complicated for me at least, and we can install them into, basically sort of install them as software essentially into this high performing person's life, and they just soar.
There's a lot of cool things that you're saying right now. So I'm going to kind of go back through some of the stuff that's like, it's really powerful. And this is where when I talk to people who usually do this, I think most people don't really understand, like, do you understand the lightning bolts that Christian just said right there? Right. There's some pretty good things that people are
Yeah.
saying. But people who are both, I think the judgments are expensive on both sides. The people
Yeah.
who win and the people who are losing. And I think the judgments of others become very difficult to deal with, whether you're at the top of your game or the bottom of your game. It's expensive because you're going to be carrying the emotional judgments from others, whether it's idolization or ridicule, shame. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a lot of weight to carry.
Yeah,
But it's
totally.
really difficult when you're either being taken advantage of or taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very difficult things to navigate, especially from people who say they love you and they're trying to use you. And this is difficult.
Yeah.
And that makes it so that the inadequacy and the insecurities that you have are very difficult to navigate when all eyes are on you.
Yes.
That's hard.
Well, like, I'll give you an example. I had all kinds of dysfunction, 3 generations of broken homes. I didn't know how to. I really wanted to be loved and love and form a family. I had zero clue on how to do it, like nothing. Okay, so I would just flying blind. And on top of that, I had the layer of expectation. This is how pop stars are supposed to behave. Date runway models, you know, date many people, all of those things, right? And that's what I did, and always felt very empty and fake to me, and I still did it because I wanted to fit in. But I don't know better than that. Okay, so now I get some help, and I get some help, and I'm working with this guy, and he's giving me these values, these paradigms that I had no clue about ever. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole world. And so now I feel like I'm better equipped to find a woman. But then it's like the psychological weight of, for example, knowing every person I meet and maybe go on a date with. I have no clue or no way of even finding out truly until later if she's interested in the person or the persona, because I'm everywhere. And some people might go, dude, like, seriously, you're complaining about that? That's like everybody's dream, right? Every guy's dream. And it's not. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare if you want to find true love. It's an actual nightmare. I have no clue how to do this. So eventually, that's probably part of the reason why I married an American. I met my wife, Deb in LA. I was in LA at a conference, and she used to work with like the big stars, right? MTV, VH1, like much bigger stars than I was. I was a regional star. She was working with actual real stars. So she was utterly unimpressed with me, didn't know or care about fame, right? Like zero. So I knew she was interested just in me. I knew that for a fact. I didn't compare to the people that were trying to get her on a date, And to me, I was like, yes, thank you, And there's obviously many other amazing qualities about her. But to me, that was a real issue. So you need somebody to walk with you sometimes to get you to see something in a more real way and avoid some of the pitfalls that are just come with the life that you're leading.
I'm really interested in this part. All right, I'm going to do my Rick synopsis of what you said, but then I want to go that direction with you because that's good. I really do find it interesting where people try to say, like, you have everything. That's so good. It doesn't matter if it's a top CEO, if it's a pop star, if it's the owner of a thing, it's a champion of a trophy. It doesn't matter what it is. People start looking at you like you're something who has it all. And it's really interesting. Here's how you're supposed to behave to fit in. What a fascinating thing to say to a human being. You have to do this to fit in, to be loved. You have to do this to be able to fit in. And it's ironic how much of it is to compromise or fake authenticity. I'm going to say that slower because that's a paradox.
Right.
Fake authenticity. That's a contradiction. And yet this is the way. This is how you do love. You go ahead and fake something real. It's like that doesn't feel like that's going to work. And that doesn't. It's true. And so even when you're doing everything right by what they tell you you're allowed to be, absolute failure. It never works. Fascinating lesson. And we're going to honor two people here in a second. I'm actually very interested in this two things. I can't wait to honor Andy and honor Deb here, because these sound like two fucking amazing people that I can't wait to hear your perspective on. All right. So Andy or Deb, which person do we want to start praising first?
Probably, I would say Andy, because he was the original mentor, right?
What is the thing that if you can say, I want to pass this thing on, this legacy of Andy that he has given to me because the wisdoms of this man's teaching has changed my universe, and let's go ahead and create that ripple effect of this amazing man through you?
Okay, so I'll tell you, we're still really good friends, and he is in almost every possible way the opposite of me, which is sort of perfect. You really want to be around people who are very different and complementarian, right, to you. So he's a guy who's a total geek. Like, he's a brainiac, very intellectual. I'm more of an artist. I'm emotional as well. I'm creative. He is, I like, as most artists do, right? Visual things, beauty, style. I like, even when I'm wearing this t-shirt, I know why I'm wearing this t-shirt, right? And this bracelet, I know when I'm wearing this bracelet. Andy Fleming to this day has zero sense of style. It's embarrassing, right? And it makes me laugh. I'm like, seriously, like, it's almost like you're trying to suck at this, right? And that's just how he is. Now, he had this one quality that stayed with me forever, and I've always kept it at the center of who I am. I sort of took it from him and integrated it into my life. He had this profound trust in truth. He was like, this is the truth about the universe, about God, about you, about me, about power, about money, about marriage, about sex, about parenting. This is the truth. And the world would try to shake your perception of that, distort it, but this is the truth, and you have to trust that the truth will set you free. This truth will actually carry you through the confusion, the chaos, and things like that on the other end. So I just observed about him, he's just unwavering when it comes to, these are foundational things. I'm going to build my life on these things, and all kinds of things are going to come my way, but I'm not going to waver from the foundational. And that's it. That's the one thing that I took from him. And we still have a great time every time we get together and talk about all kinds of things. But that thing, it was the distinctive quality of Andy Fleming.
It's funny, we say it's the one thing, but the one thing is all things.
Yeah, it's core, right? So it just ripples into other things.
It tears through all belief systems that exist to make it so authenticity, significance, truth become like the resonance as far as my choice system is working. And what a cool guy to be able to go like, I dress like this because the truth is I don't care.
He does not care.
It doesn't matter. Another person's point of view doesn't become my reality because they have an opinion. The truth will still be that I am covered up appropriately the way I feel like being covered up.
Yes, exactly.
And you're like, no, I am tactical in the way that I understand how this outfit is supposed to be. This is, it's also a statement of authenticity.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And the guy is amazing because he's a very frugal kind of, I don't care about material things kind of guy. And he's the son of a very rich guy in Canada, and he would have these winter gloves because it gets cold in Russia sometimes with the Canadian maple leaf. And they're just atrocious, right? Atrocious. And I would go, dude, like you can afford better shoes. Come on now, like you're embarrassing me. Okay, I can't take you out anywhere. Like, and he just didn't care. So still to this day, he's sort of that way. I look at him and I just smile. I go, man, this is a guy, and he's just interesting.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What's up, Warriors? All right, you guys are listening to this show, and I hope you're loving it. But right now, I need you to know we actually do real deep work psychology. What the Warriors Way mindset is, it's a battlefield philosophy applied to human transformation. Together we rise, and we train our men to be better men every day. There's goodness in you. We want to train you to be undeniably great. And so this isn't branding, this is tactical doctrine to help us so that we train together because our families and this world need strong men again. This is the way. Click the link to join in with our community, start training in our programs today, and I look forward to getting on the battlefield with you.
Yeah, but that's such a thing that needs to be. Isn't it something that needs to be more common as someone who leans into genuine authenticity again? Like
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
so many that
exactly.
compromise themselves.
Yeah. He just knows who he is and what he's not, and he's just cool as a cucumber, man. That guy, it's amazing.
Isn't it cool how somebody who can be so, what's the right word? Maybe defiant or goes against the grain in the
Yeah,
in the persistence of truth or authenticity makes it so that somebody I can trust a lot more.
Yeah,
But even in that sentence is important because how many
and he
people.
also didn't care who I was either. Like, he didn't even actually know because he's Canadian. He was just a foreigner there. So when we first met, people who knew me, they were like, "You know who that is?" And he goes, "I have no idea who that is." So that helped me because I needed somebody who doesn't care about the persona in my life, and that was so helpful to me. And so, yeah, he saved my life in so many ways.
There's so many cool things that are being said here. Like, it's just loud to me how cool some of these things you're saying. And the fact that you keep bringing up, you didn't see my persona. And this is one of those elements when I teach people to really see somebody. I said, you want to see who someone is, you look with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Like, no. Close your eyes. And like, you can hear this guy's beliefs, his fears, his thoughts, his dreams, his loves, his courage, his worries. Like, you can see, like, who is this person? Who are they genuinely? And so many people go, I saw you as the star. And you're like, you don't see me as the human.
Yeah. The cool thing is that I immediately turned around and started implementing some of that I learned from him, because I was around people that were pretty high achievers. So I was mentoring Olympic athletes, right? World champions, weightlifting. When this one guy came to my house, because I got a reputation for the guy who helps others, right? And this guy was sent to me, and he's like, "Hey, his name's Max. He's a world champion, weightlifting champion. And he needs some help." And I'm like, okay. So I get with him, and the guy's divorced, in debt, jobless. His professional career is over, but he's literally a champion of the world in weightlifting, just a beast, right? And so I was able to help him rebuild these other dimensions that are more than the thing that he was at the top of the world in, right? You need to be more holistically developed. So now he's married, has kids, has a business, doing really well financially. And like all of those elements were tweaked back then, like 25 years ago. So I have story after story after story of doing that informally at first, before I ever even dreamt of saying, I think I can maybe structure something, a program, so that we can systematize this thing, right? But I had story after story, artists, entrepreneurs, etc. Russian mafia people would come to me, like real criminals, like big bad boys. And I would have these kind of sessions with them going, so what do you want in life? So, and they would be like, they have anger issues and stuff like that. One of my best friends was a wrestler. He was probably number 2 in Russia, which means he's at the top internationally, because Greco-Roman is like Russia, Turkey, maybe a couple other nations. And the guy's a heavyweight, so he looks like Shrek, right? And the guy is just a complete beast, and he was an enforcer in the mafia because they used them as muscle. It was all married. The industry, the mafia, and that world at the time were basically intertwined. And he wanted to get out, and I helped him. But at first, he wanted to beat me up. That's sort of the thing. Because I was a pop star, like I was long hair, dancer. Like, he hated my guts. Hated my guts.
Because you were a pop star, he had to beat you up. That was a thought process.
Yeah. They have
it's like, I heard your song, Christian. Time to beat you up.
Yeah, they have and he also knew that I became a Christian, and he didn't. And the mafia there are very superstitious, so they actually have a respect for the Bible. And but they, of course, are criminals all at the same time. So it's reconciled in their minds one way or another, right? And he was like, who do you think you are? This is not, you have long hair, you do pop music. And he corners me. I was with a group of friends. I was rooting for a friend of his who was a lightweight in a big competition. And he saw me, and he knew that guy, my friend. And we were in the locker room just hanging out with my friend, and he sort of pulled me aside and cornered me and started yelling at me. And his friends were looking, right? His mafia friends, like they're all just kind of checking out. Okay, this is getting intense. And he's just, who do you think you are, man? You have this long hair. They have all kinds of weird perceptions, these guys, right? At the time, this was the 90s. And he was like, are you even a real man? And I'm going, okay, this guy's going to hurt me. And I look at him and I go, are you a real man? And he just stops. Like, no one talks to him like that. Everybody's scared of this guy. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, well, if you're a real man, why don't you obey the Bible? Stop being a criminal. And he just, like, he backs off immediately. And then he basically changes his ways and changes his life and wants to leave the mafia. And he comes to me and I help him. And he has threats on his life. His boss came to my apartment with a gun to talk to me about what I'm doing to his boy. Literally, And we had a talk, and he shook my hand and left, And Sergey, the guy who became one of my best friends, he was thrown out of the sport, no livelihood, no nothing. And I said, I'll take you in. And so he became my roommate for a while. That's a cool story.
There's a lot of just raw courage that I think I honor you for, because so many people would buckle instead of go forward. A lot of people go on their heels instead of go toward. And especially when faced with some overwhelming obstacle, most people will try and find some way to get away from it, where you said, well, why don't I just go forward and see what happens?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially if somebody's like about to hurt you. Yeah, I had so many. I mean, to me, in the early 90s, this was normal for me, actually. Because I was doing that quite a bit, and so I have all kinds of stories like that. This is not.
Have you found the pattern in these kinds of things that starting from next to nothing has made it when somebody tries to threaten you with things, you're like, this is not the hardest thing I've been through, man?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. And this is such a testament to people who today who are, they do everything they can to avoid difficulty. When you go, people who because listen, backstories, you can tell people who where'd you come from? And you're like, let me tell you my backstory. And then you're like, oh. And so you're like, oh, this guy wants to beat me up. I'm like, that's Tuesday. I don't care. Exactly. That's not a problem for me. But you see the people who have never had to go through some of the difficulties that you had as a childhood, and all of a sudden, some sort of disagreement or some kind of conflict is now like, I have anxiety. It's like, dude, just ask him what's hurting him. Ask him what he's doing. See what's up. You'll probably figure out it's your friend.
I honestly think that's probably I would say, the one downside of growing up in an amazing place like the United States is that you have less suffering than most people do. And because of that, you're less eager to suffer. And suffering is the way to success. You can't succeed at anything unless you suffer quite a bit. So I find a lot of people are idolize, they get addicted to certainty and to less suffering, and then do anything in their power to lower suffering and avoid at all costs suffering of any kind. And that's really the recipe for stagnation and failure and all kinds of misery. That's just a fact, you know. So one of the things that I do, you know, I joke about this, sort of semi joke, is that when I coach people in the United States in either high performance or personal branding, I'm helping Americans remember to be more American, because that's what America is. It's boldness, it's courage, it's winning, it's optimism, it's making things happen. That's America. That's what built this nation. And there's massive amounts of human capital that is just underutilized in America because people just don't find themselves to be able to do suffering well. You need suffering. You like, and it's either the suffering that's produced on you by not doing what you're supposed to be doing in life, or it's suffering that you produce by growing and building and learning new things, right? Either way, suffering is not going to go away. It's just choose your suffering. It's useful suffering so that it builds you and helps you help other people, or it's useless suffering, which happens is when you start to avoid all suffering. You know, you're going to have a lot of suffering regardless.
There's a kind of a gangster thing you just said there that I like. Like, you just said something pretty tough, and I'm going to just go ahead and say it louder. You said you're not from America originally, and you're here now, and one of your missions is to help make Americans Americans again.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a gangster thing to say. I love it.
I think so.
This is like, did you guys all forget how you guys became America? What are you doing? And
yes.
There's a cool thing for just personalities or psychology things. Are you familiar with Enneagrams, like personality types?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I've played around with it, but I always forget the details.
I think just in our conversation, you're somewhere in that 4-3 range. Like, you're in the romantic individualist mixed in with the achiever who will get shit done. You're somewhere in there.
Probably, yeah. That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to be very different than others, but you're going to get that shit done one way or another. It's going to you have a 100%. Unique way of doing things.
Yeah, yeah.
But America started off as a type 8 personality, which is the challenger type. That's the fuck around and find out personality. That's the aggressive one. And so America used to be like, do the right thing or I'll kick your ass. Like, it used to be that energy. And the problem is like you talked about with becoming the pop star and becoming the success story or winning, is then you become complacent. And complacency does not account for the catastrophe it creates.
Yes.
The more you become comfortable and you avoid discomfort, and the more certainty that you have and the less suffering you go through, the softer you become, and then you no longer have that energy. And so now they say we're in a type 3, which is just achiever type only, which is suppress authenticity and just get what you want. At any cost, get the luxury, get the winning, get the victory, get the championship, get the trophy, but at any cost of authenticity, and destroy yourself to get it. It's a very funny contradiction that we've become these soft people who want luxury.
That sounds accurate to me. Yeah, it really does. I mean, and I that's what I find. It's surprising to me because even though I've lived here for 21 years now, my sort of sensitivities are still somebody whose formative years were in very different environments. So it still shocks me that how addicted people are, very, very gifted people, to a lifestyle, a certainty, a status. There's more at stake. There's more complexity. They don't want to lose these things. So they're so attached to this, to the certainty of a certain lifestyle, level, respect, salary, you name it, right? That starting something boldly that has a high probability of failure becomes almost unconscionable. You can't do it. Emotionally, you can't do it. And you can't live through that. And that is such a shame, because you have to sort of destroy a little bit and revive yourself to go higher. You have to invent things. You have to innovate. And if you're playing it safe, you're not going to innovate. Like, you're too attached to safety, to certainty, to all those things. And that's really, I don't want to say un-American, but it's not the spirit upon which America was built. The spirit of America is adventure and rebellion and building, right? It's such an optimistic place.
The
And I
challenging
find
element.
so many Americans are not optimistic. They're just
Yeah.
sort
They,
of
they didn't
existing.
have to do the fight. The
Yeah.
kids of this generation didn't have to do the fight to be able to have the appreciation for what has not been earned. Like the people who fought to get it, now they're like, now you can have the opportunity of a better life. That's what we fought for. I think that people do not understand the absolute just trouble or the problems or the conflict or the issues that come from just winning. Whenever I'm doing stuff, because like, listen, I'm with you where like I think that you and I could relate to. I have screwed up everything and failed my way into success. If there's a way to goof it up, oh, I did that. And that's why I'm good at what I do, is because I have no problem screwing this stuff up. I will mess it all up. That's not a problem. Not the hardest thing I've overcome. But when you have people who are afraid to fail, they're afraid to lose, they're afraid to get it wrong. You watch people who really do have like this instant gratification issue where they think I'm supposed to just win. And the hardest thing that I've ever seen happen is if somebody wins beyond what they've earned.
Mm-hmm.
If like they get too much, like you said, as a pop star, as a kid, like you're a young man, you're like, I have so much success, but like, I don't know how to handle all of this right now. I have won more than I can handle right now.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And like, this
and
is
so much of
where
it is squandered because of it, right? So
that was one of the hardest things. Whenever my team is working on something, that's what we say, is I'm like, you guys are so excited about it. My biggest concern is, what if it works? Because we've had things radically work and we got our asses kicked because we're like, we can't keep up with all of these clients. I'm overloaded. We got too many people doing, I can't keep up with this. This is happening. I'm burning out. And you're like, we should have accounted for what if it actually works?
Yeah,
and,
that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
And that actually made it so that was the most suffering and the most struggle, is when you're having too many victories and you can't keep up. And you're like, I don't know if I can handle all of this. It sounds like a good problem, like the more money, more problems kind of thing. But you think so until you got them. And then you're like, it was easier when I was broke. Holy crap. Until you earn those stripes through your suffering, through your failure, through your mistakes, through your things going catastrophically out of control. And then you find who you are.
That's right.
And I think that's one of those things where I like that you're saying, like, hey, as a foreigner, I'm trying to get you Americans to be American again. And I'm like, what a gangster thing to say.
I wrote a book called Little Book of Big Reasons to Love America because of it. Because I was just losing my mind. I think it was right around the COVID years where I'm going, why all the self-loathing, right? There's just so much America bashing. And I don't at all mind self-criticism. I think it's a very important piece of being an American. Is criticizing your government it's a great thing. It's a great tradition, and it's a duty if you're a citizen. And I've been a citizen for many years now. But the self-loathing thing, where you just completely, throw out everything that is good, that really messed with me. Really, really messed with me. I was angry, and Deb was like, "Just write it down. Write it down." So I wrote down the optimistic things. I'm like, okay, 10 chapters, 10 reasons to love America, some stories to illustrate, and so that's why I wrote the book.
I want to hear some of the passionate things, because I'm just going to tell you, and as a psychologist, they're going to be studying what happened in 2020 for the next 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like the psychological stuff that switched overnight, and how quickly human beings shown that they do not do critical thinking and fall right into conformity immediately.
It's crazy.
You watch people whose belief systems turned upside down through just a few videos of algorithms. It didn't take much for a person who was all about inclusion to become a hate monger, and a person who was like excluding people became inclusive. It's bananas how fast everything turned upside down overnight.
Yeah.
What are some of the passions that you've got where I had to write this book? Give me a couple of the passions where like, okay, did you guys forget how awesome this is? Chapter 4,
Well, it's the insights that I do have, I think, are that most of the success or failure that groups of people have in countries specifically has to do with not with a political system, but really about the culture that supports it and almost like internalizes it, right? It's really not about writing a constitution. It's about the culture that actually believes in it and owns it. And basically, the way I see America is that it's a cultural stack. It's a stack of cultural traits, almost like a constellation, the stars aligned in this particular way, that created the most powerful, the most creative, the most. This is a country that pulled other countries out of poverty, right? Not just their own people. So to me, just to name a few, is first of all is sort of this acceptance of the immigrant, right? And it's not about legal or illegal. It's sort of the acceptance of the other seeking a better life, right? And I came legally. I was married to an American already for years, etc. So, and for the record, I believe the borders can't possibly be open or you don't have a nation, right? That's just not a real thing. But the acceptance of immigrants, right? Everybody came from somewhere else. They created their own, these tribes and tribes of tribes, and they morphed and they changed and all of that. So that's one. The other one, I think, is entrepreneurship. No doubt, is trying new things. It's a very generous country. People looked out for each other. So they formed these civic organizations that are charities that are basically the bottom up. They're not government controlled. They're citizen controlled. And that's very distinctly American. You go to Europe now, it's very hard to start a grassroots charity because Europeans expect the government to do that work. So that's a very distinctly American thing. It's a very generous country. What else? Faith. Obviously, there's the moral fabric of the Judeo-Christian kind of thing that actually took root, that came with all kinds of things downstream, right? Family values, etc. Family values is another, right? It's America. America's a very family-oriented place, and you can even say, look, we've lost some of it, like divorce rates, etc. I think America has a very distinct family culture because in every other culture, you have other structures that sort of keep you on the rails, right? You have sort of tradition, you have government, you have all kinds of things, right? Like these are all structures that keep things, the bones, right, upon which everything else is built. When people moved to America, they lost all of that. So they relied on the family unit for upward mobility or things like that. So America has a very distinct family focus culture that I think really, really wonderful. Anti-fragility is another one, sort of this culture that accepts failure and reinvention. In most traditional cultures, failure is associated with shame, with loss of status, with loss of respect. So people actually avoid failure. Americans welcome failure. It's a cultural trait, right? So basically, I have 10 chapters, but this is sort of a splattering of ideas. Freedom is another one. Freedom is central. Oh, pursuit of happiness, that's another one. It was codified, but that's not even the most important part because all kinds of people have freedom in their constitution, but they're not free by any means. All kinds of documents were signed about happiness and the pursuit of happiness, or versions of that, because people really look up to the American model. But no culture has adopted it, actually internalized it the way America has. So the pursuit, the mastery of your own way is something very American, extremely American. Freedom, like the government like the average American wants the government to stay as much out of their way as possible. In most other cultures, many cultures, if not most, we want the government to give us stuff, to provide for us. There's a paternalistic sort of dimension of government, and America is the opposite of that, right? So there's all these. Imagine how these layers just come together, right? They're combined, they're ebb and flow together as a constellation of things. That is, to me, so unique, so wonderful, and impossible to like manufacture somewhere else. You just you can't manufacture. No one person, no one government can say, here's how we're going to roll now. It just doesn't work that way. So in some sense, it is almost providential how America became America. You know, it's not one person. It's just this miraculous almost constellation of things that came together at the same time.
This sounds awesome. This is conversation that needs to be had. And like, this is something where I go very hard in my, because I run programs and I teach guys, and the way you're fundamentally saying things follows very similar to my creed and what we do. And I think this is when we're talking about this energy that you're speaking of, like the people have to put this back in the core of themselves again. I start with the men, because if the men are supposed to be like, hey, hey, I got you, follow me. Like, it starts with the guys. And as soon as the guys stop remembering the fundamentals of the purpose, then there is no more. We just have complaints. We just have bitching and complaining and a bunch of softness. I'm just going to kind of give like the short version of just what I heard from you. And you can kind of tell me like, okay, yeah, you kind of get it or you don't. So like, I'm going to kind of read back what I'm seeing from you. The element again of becoming strong through the dream of together we are stronger. And this is one of the first thing you said is like America realized that having different cultures put together and then being able to say we can work on things together and grow from each other and learn from each other together, we're way stronger just as human beings. And so to put the hatred aside and going, yeah, you came from one place, I came from another, but here we can talk to each other just as people, and I don't have to control or condemn or shame you. Together we're just stronger. So you go ahead and go to the next part of entrepreneurship where you build your business to serve others and I'll build my business to serve others, and we serve each other through service, and we all become more successful because you have a dream, I have a dream, and together we can work on dreams. That sounds awesome. I like it. That's hard work though. Yes, it is. Worth it, because we're going to change our generational stars. So let's do that. Then it goes into the faith, the moral compass of goodness and love. Being able to have acceptance of the strength of family and togetherness again, and having I look out for my people, and that even expands outside of the house. So this is my neighborhood, this is my community, this is my city, and being able to say I take ownership of what this place is because this is part of who I am, and everything in this is part of me. And I think there's a big disconnect that we forgot to look out for our neighbors. Like people started just going keep up with the Joneses instead of make sure the Joneses are all right. This anti-fragility, so good. In other cultures, as you see, and you're darn right. I talk to people from across the world, and like, you didn't do it right, you are the shame of the family. I'm like, did you learn? They're like, yeah, but it doesn't work like that here. I'm like, yep, it does here. When you fail and you screw something up, it's not you're a failure, it's you learned how to not be. Now you're stronger. You just leveled up. You didn't lose.
Yeah,
and they don't have that culture here. So anti-fragility of like, you're supposed to fail. That's how you get good. Like, you can't make every shot. You just adjust your shot. That's how you get better. The freedom, and this goes probably back to the Andy element of it, is tell the damn truth and don't feel like we have to censor each other or push each other down because I don't like what you're saying. The courage in disagreement makes it so that we can find other perspectives and become better people. And as soon as I say you can't talk anymore and start taking freedoms away because I can't handle the truth, makes it so now we create a weak society of people who all have to be quiet because I need to be in my safe space because I'm not okay with listening to things that are. Well, we have to get rid of that thing. Freedom was good. The pursuit of happiness. This means try to do better than you were before. And most people don't have a dream, a passion, or a purpose anymore because their dad or their grandpa did such a good job, I don't have to. And so now, instead of pursuing something of goodness and happiness, I pursue gambling addiction or drugs because you know what? What do I have to even fight for anymore? There's no bad guys, so I'll just create one. That's horrible, by the way, but that's what's happening. And then the thing that you talked about, the leadership element, and this is very powerful. Rule number 7 is challenge everything. Challenge everything. And you're supposed to challenge leadership. In fact, when the guys come in to test competency to see if I am even worth working with, the very first thing I do is say, challenge my competency to see if I'm worth listening to. If I'm not, don't work with me. If you are in any organization, government, church, work, like anything, if you're in any organization and you cannot challenge the leader for competency or purpose or reason or why, if you can't ask questions without blame, shame, and judgment, you are in a cult. you are in something that is unhealthy, you have to be able to say, hey, if you're the one who's running the show, why are you doing what you're doing? If they go, if you ask that question, we're putting you in jail. Like, oh, wow, I can't ask questions. I get canceled. I get ridiculed. I get attacked for questions. What happened to the courage of being able to have an integrity to answer, hey, Christian, do you know why you're wearing the shirt you're wearing? And you're like, I know exactly why I'm wearing the shirt I'm wearing. Thanks for asking. Instead of going, you can't ask that question. You're get them, guys, get them. It's very funny to see the weakness that we've become by compromising these strengths or these core pillars that you were putting down. It's pretty amazing that you're like, hey, guys, can I remind you guys that you guys can be good again?
Right. Yeah.
That's my short and sweet of like the badass shit you just said.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a miracle. It's a beautiful thing.
They're gonna need your book, man. It's a powerful thing you're saying.
Get it? It's really fun. You can read it in about 3.5 hours. There's a lot of good stories there.
Yeah, this is good, man. All right, let's talk about someone very important. Let's go ahead and take a few minutes here and talk about the coolest person you know. All right, so Deb, tell us about how this lady changed your stars, because if it's one thing, my Andrea is somebody I can't brag enough about, and I feel like you got that big love in there to go like, oh, let me just tell you how badass this lady is.
So she's a tiny Italian girl. She grew up in Wisconsin, and she had this. I remember the moment that I clicked with her. I just met her. She was actually working. She was one of the organizers of the conference. Because she worked in production, MTV, VH1, Universal Studios, right? So she was like, had this production hustle kind of to her. And she came up to me during a mixer and she's like, hey, you're going to do a show. You're going to do 2-3 songs. I want to get your bio so that we can introduce you. I said, all right. And so she was like, how many albums have you released? That kind of thing. And I look at her and I remember seeing, for me, it was very refreshing to see somebody who's not fazed by who I am, because she doesn't know, actually, right? I mean, she sort of knows because she's writing down my bio, but it's different for her. And she had this confidence about her, this very open, authentic smile. And I immediately had a sort of literally a gut feeling in the moment going, who is this girl? And I'm literally stopped her. She's like, all right, I'm going to go. No, don't go. Tell me about yourself, So took her on a date. Canceled all of my plans. I had friends sort of looking out for me, setting me up with dates, and they wanted me to meet somebody, right? So I had like 2 dates planned by somebody else, and I literally canceled those 2 dates to go on a date with her. And then I went on another date. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. Let's spend a few hours together. We went to Universal Studios together. We spent the day there. Then I called her every day from New York. I was in New York for a few days, seeing family. And then I went back to Russia and I emailed her. At the time, this was before Skype and high-speed internet. So I emailed her every day until she moved. And that's sort of the story. And she's feisty, she's strong, she's ultra faithful, and she just makes me better, right? She keeps me real. She can kick my butt. She's like the only person I'm scared of. And like if she's angry, I get real nervous. But we've been together for 26 years. We got married in Moscow and we had 1,800 people at our wedding. We had press accreditations at our wedding. So it was a big deal. And she's so culturally flexible, so to say, that at the time there was this fad in Russia that apparently in the olden days, the brides would wear red because the word red was related to the word beautiful in Russian. And she learned about it from a high school friend of mine who got married in a red dress. And she was like, I'm wearing a red dress. So she went and got a red dress, and she became known because so many people in America heard about the wedding, and the pictures were so striking because she was wearing a red dress. So for years later, people would meet us somewhere, reconnect, and they were like, you're the one with the red dress. And she was like, yeah, that was me. So yeah, that's her, and she's my partner in crime. She's co-founder of the small things that I start. We have an after-school academy in Africa. We started that together. We started a media, like a little marketing company called Third Drive Media together. When the Ukraine war started, we we actually lived there for a little bit. So my youngest daughter was born in Kiev. So I have two daughters born in Moscow, one daughter born in Kiev, and we have all these hundreds of people who are in bomb shelters, friends of mine, like personal friends. So I'm on the phone with them, and we sort of dropped everything and started raising funds for Ukraine to help specifically refugees. And we raised, like, I think over $250,000 in a matter of months. I just sort of lost my mind because I'm a refugee. So imagine what that does to you as a refugee when you see your friends being refugees, right? So, and then the thing that surprised me about Deb is that I said, I'm going to go there. I'm not going to just sort of send money from abroad. I want to be there and shake hands and be with people and talk to the refugees and see the things. And this is during the war. And I was like, never expected her to want to come. And she was like, I'm going with you. What are you talking about? These are my friends too. So this American girl from Wisconsin, flew to Budapest, to Poland, to Warsaw. We took a car. We crossed the border. You couldn't fly. Still can't fly into Kiev. Crossed the border by foot. Somebody met us in the and then we went to Lviv, and we were supporting a little refugee center there. We're hanging out with them. We stayed at a hotel, and they were like, okay, so to the right is the restaurant, to the left is the bomb shelter. And you hear sirens, the air raid sirens. It's like a new reality. And she just never missed a beat. And we spent 10 days there, and just fearless, man. Like, all of her friends were like, you did what? You went to Kiev during the war? Yeah, we went to Kiev during the war. And that's Deb for you.
Having a warrior wife is badass, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. Like, because I was expecting that from me, right? Because I've seen civil war, the fall of the Soviet Union, the military coup. So to me, that doesn't faze me. I'm sort of like, yeah, this is awesome, right? I'm going to be there. I'm not going to try to die or anything, but I can take a risk. But for her to do it, that was pretty amazing.
It's pretty cool. The one thing I'm going to give you a testament to, and I think people they need more of what you're saying. And this is what I teach. We teach, go toward the noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Like, there's something where, like, something's wrong. Like, instead of going like, oh God, I'm out of here. And this goes externally and internally.
Yeah.
For your depression, for your anxiety, for your grief, for your fears. Go
Yep.
toward the noise. What's going on in there? Let's go check it out instead of like suppress, push it down, run away, deny.
Yeah.
So
I get
go
it.
toward the noise. And as soon as you see friends in trouble, you don't go, oh no, let's not do anything. You're like, no, we go toward the noise. We go to where our friends are. And it's awesome that your girl, you got your warrior wife who's like, I guess we're going toward the noise then, huh? Like, yeah, baby,
shocked.
Let's go. That's
I was
awesome.
shocked. Yeah. So we went there on the last day we were there. There was this. We loved Kiev. It's such a beautiful, and we have best friends there. So we went to this. Just last day. Let's decompress. Let's not look at blown up buildings and talk to people who went through unspeakable suffering and all those things. So we'll go just eat somewhere. We'll just go look at the beautiful churches. So there's this glass bridge that oversees the Don, the river, the Dnieper River, rather. And it's just gorgeous, like this picturesque thing. It's a tourist attraction, right? So we're there, and we take pictures and video. And then we leave, we go to Budapest, and a few days later, it's in the news how a Russian rocket hits that exact spot. So it could have been us, right? Easily. And I took the video from YouTube because there's CCTV cameras, and it's clearly that bridge. So I have like footage of me and Deb hugging on the bridge, and then the next shot is the rocket hitting it. And I send it to my daughters because I'm a boy and I think it's fun, and they start hyperventilating. I'm like, I'm okay. Like, I'm not just sending that to you to trick you into believing something happened. I'm just saying, this is crazy, right? And they're like, don't do that. That's such a dude thing to do. That is not cool, And but that's my wife. She was there with me, man. And it could have been us easily.
That's why our men need men. I'd be like, Christian, let me see the video.
That's exactly it. Dude would go, dude, I want to see that video.
Dude, send it to me. That's dude. Look at you, look at you. You beat death on that one. You badass. I'm like, that's awesome. You know, like so.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's cool, man. Honor to that. Having a good woman in the back also is a testament to the courage that you have to be a good man. And I see you.
Yeah, man.
It's a
Thank you.
very
Appreciate
cool
it.
thing. It's a very cool thing, and I think that it's one of those things again. I see you with my eyes closed. It's not the guy in the pink shirt who's a pop singer. It's the guy with the courage to stand up to a mafia hitman or be able to go ahead and go toward the danger and make sure that whatever the hardship is, we go toward it together. The things that scare the shit out of people is the things I go do. And people will judge these books by their covers and make it so a guy who's going through hardship makes it so that life gets better around him.
You know, what you said actually, it's really important, not only on the things that are like big challenges, but specifically that little voice, that almost like a whisper of the soul, when things are sort of going okay, but you want change. And I think that's a different kind of noise. It's a whisper where you're dissatisfied with where you're at. And a lot of the people that I end up working with, they have ignored that voice for way too long, and then the pain catches up with you later. But if you go towards the noise, just using the way you saying and have some sort of ability to go, something is off in the way that I'm in the things that I'm doing in life right now. I'm dissatisfied, and I'm going to actually pay attention to it and see what it is. And these are not these catastrophic things. These are small things. If you pay attention early, you can proactively change things. If you don't pay attention, the pain's going to catch up with you, and then it will compound and get bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't ignore it anymore. And I find that to be the truth with many people who are super gifted. And you know, I work on this purposeful professional development focal point because of that. Because I go, look, you're not supposed to be in the same exact static place your whole life. You need to be able to grow and expand and pivot and find your place. And the imagery that we used even earlier in the conversation, the playbook that was given to you, it worked in the beginning. It doesn't work anymore. Are you acknowledging that? Are you even feeling it? Are you doing something about it? Are you ready to burn the playbook? Because there's a time where you should do it, or the playbook is going to own you. It's going to play you. You're not playing the game anymore. The game is playing you.
That whisper, I call that the whisper of potential.
That's good. I like that.
It's the whisper of the potential that you're not going toward that thing that used to drive you. Complacency is it comes in softly. Like complacency comes in soft.
Yeah. It creeps in on you, and it's just very, 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 very subtle. Yeah.
And as soon as you start, like you said, the gifted people, they start getting high enough out of the muck that they're like, hey, there's a beach up here. Like, we're not in hell anymore. They're like, there's a beach. And they're like, yeah, there's a beach. It's like, we're not thinking about climbing the next mountain. We just want to go to the beach now. But then you're like, we made it to the beach. And then everything starts to sink again. Everything starts to fall apart. And you're like, oh no, we're backsliding. What's going on? And then you want to go back up. But I think once you start going like, okay, mountain time, and you get up high enough, then people go like, well, now I'm high enough that I'm actually worried about losing.
Yeah, there's too much at stake. Yeah.
Now I got too much to lose, and now I'm more worried about taking risk, because if I take risk now and I lose, I could lose everything, and that's a lot to lose right now. But before I didn't have anything.
That's literally the name of the game. You reach a certain point, you have too much to lose, you stop taking risks. That's it. It's that simple.
Then the whisper. That reminds me, like, made me think of that Frozen too, like into the unknown, like that whole thing, where it's like, I hear you whispering, but I'm trying to ignore you. I don't know who you are, but I've already done my adventure.
That's exactly
like,
and we ignore it. And I mean, grown men and women, very, very talented, very accomplished. They just ignore it for years and then decades, and then you can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah, I think my buddy just had me read The Alchemist, and there's a part of that in there. I don't know. Have you read that?
A long time ago.
It was a long time ago. There's that section where like the guy was talking to him in the desert about like, you could stay here with your girl. You could stay here. But in the first couple years, you're going to start watching the dream that you have inside of you just die in front of you. if you avoid the whisper, if you avoid the part of you that
Yeah.
knows that you're supposed to go on this adventure, there's a calling in your soul that says, go do it. And each year you'll have to create new justifications as you watch the plant of your dream wither and you watch it die. And
That's
then your
exactly
girl
how
will
it
have
works, yeah.
resentment, and you'll have resentment, and you'll watch yourself live your days out as like, man, I really should have followed that North Star in my soul that I ignored.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly how it is. Yeah.
that's some heavy stuff, but that whisper
Yeah.
of potential. Also, the women. This is something I've learned just from watching the behavior of people. Is complacency, even through victory, is still a living hell for the ladies. And what I mean by that
totally,
is a man who stops working on being the best version of himself. And like, this is where I've seen like the entrepreneurs who sold the business and now I've got millions of dollars and don't have to work anymore. Or the people who have an inheritance that came from somebody and now I don't have to work anymore. Or they don't have to do anything anymore. I have everything taken care of for the checklists. And the women that I've seen that are with men who have the success already taken care of, or they have the 9-to-5 job that pays just enough that everything's taken care of, and they get into the routine of the same thing every day, every day, every day. It doesn't matter if they're hyper wealthy or found like a safe, secure routine. The guy stopped growing and he stays there. And the women are like, he doesn't do anything. He's like, well, what do I have to do? I already have all the check marks done. It's like, but I know that there's something in you that could do better. You have more in you. You can reach higher. You can grow further. You can be more because you have everything it takes to do it. And there's something inside of a lady, like they're like Prince's mother, where they're just never satisfied. And I think it's because they're the inspiration inside of a man to say, like, hey, go further. You're built to do greatness. Don't stop just because you have some achievement.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a reason why the most successful people financially are always married. Statistically, it's just true, you know.
Say it again. Say it again for those in the back. Those who have actual love, and those who look out for each other and inspire each other and fight for each other, and they'll be in it with each other. There's a reason why those ones work better.
There's a correlation for sure, 100%. That's just true.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff. I don't think, again, like this is why I like having people who have been through the muck together with me. Because like we have to almost say it like, can we say it again? I think they'll listen and go, interesting, and not connect to how powerful these sentences are.
Yeah.
It's very cool, man. We've got an hour and 12. I can keep going, but I know that your girls are there. And so I know you want to go get back with your people. Do you want to keep going or do you want to go get some family time?
Well, let's do another 10 minutes and wrap it up. Yeah.
You got it. All right, so let's go ahead and push into the last piece of passion for you here. Something that you're like, all right, if we could leave one thing on the table for everybody to go like, hey, if I could leave one thing for all of you to practice, to believe, to change in grow through, something that you can leave on the table for everyone to go, remember Christian Ray Flores told you this thing, whether it came from Deb, whether it came from Andy, whether it came from God, somebody who told you like, hey, leave this message. What would be the purpose or the message that you would leave behind for people to think about?
I would say this. I would say, you know, you're not undervalued, because I think a lot of people are very capable. That's how they feel, right? They feel undervalued. I feel like I have more to offer and people don't see it. My boss, my organization, my setup is not there, etc. Or even marriage, actually. I don't think you're undervalued. I think you're not undeniable. And the difference is this. The difference is if you learn how to become undeniable, it will be impossible for you to be undervalued. It's impossible. So don't worry about other people or groups of people not valuing your full self, but really focus on being undeniable. And there's ways to do it. That's basically what we do. We just convince people. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I convince people that they have it in them to become undeniable. And it's hard for them to believe in the beginning, and then they believe it. and they go, oh, I get it. I know how to get there. And the high performance piece is really important to that. And then I think the personal branding piece for me was the early lesson, actually the earliest lesson that I learned, if you think about it. So all these things are full circle things, right? So here I am, a child refugee. I'm an outsider everywhere. Don't fit in. I find myself in the Soviet Union, darker brown skinned kid with an accent. I didn't have an accent after a few years, but I had an accent in the beginning. Don't look, don't sound, don't act, don't see things the way others do there. I just can't fit in anywhere, you know? And at some point that was the greatest gift, because most of us as humans, we want to fit in. We want to be accepted. And what I learned is that, at some point I was like, I can't fit in. So I'm going to see if I can stand out. And I think that was the big aha moment. Literally, this is my early 20s that I decided to do that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something that is so original, so unique, undeniable, and see if people find it valuable. And to my surprise, they did, right? And that's the first time. I didn't even know the term personal brand at the time, right? But I'm like, so you can sort of structure and package your intellectual property. So in that sense, at the time, it was songs, right? You can record them, you can put them on albums, and you can sell them. And that scales. And you can sell them to the people that want them. And at first it was a trickle, and then it was millions. So it's one person doing one kind of work in the most original, authentic way I can, and millions of people benefit. But you can do that in anything. You can do it as a lawyer, as a psychologist, as a dancer, you name it. You can do that. You can package your intellectual property, and you can offer it to the world in the most authentic way, and just package it in a way that people can really benefit from it and be served by it. That's a personal brand. And talk about it, publish somewhere. Get the courage to get yourself out there, turn on the camera, start writing words on paper. What are the things that you care about, things that you have opinions about, the things that you are given as unique insights into the thing that you do? Become known for the thing that you do. The risk of being ridiculed. Risk it. Never before in the history of humanity, it has been easier to reach people anywhere at any time. Ever. And the thing that stops people from doing that is just self-doubt. So my message is, you have it. You have it. Have the courage to look at yourself, find the thing that you're absolutely passionate about and good at, and turn on the camera, put things on paper, put yourself out there, publish. Develop that personal brand. And it's going to suck at first, and it's going to get better over time.
I love it. I love when we're aligned on these things too. The undervalued is the external appraisal of others, but you're not being undeniable, which is the internal connection to self. And that's like your mind, heart, body, spirit. Are you really being you? Yeah. And do you mind if I jump on and give you one of my weapons that you can have one of my weapons and help people with this?
Please, I love weapons.
So I do a training because almost all of my work is rewiring belief systems. That's really my core, expertise is in let's rewire your beliefs. Let's check and challenge. Is this belief yours or not?
Yeah.
And I do a training on believing in yourself. And I ask them, here's how I do it. I'll go, all right, Christian, just in us talking, I can tell that you're a very smart person. You are not a dumb man. You understand things. You see things in a different way. You seem very competent, very capable, very intelligent. And so if you're telling me that you're struggling with believing in yourself and having self-doubt, there can only be an assumption that you know something I don't know. You must have information I don't have. So in order for me to understand what you know that I don't know, because I believe in you and I believe in myself, but you don't believe in yourself, you have self-doubt. Can you please sell to me the system you're using so I can use the better system like you are? Can you please sell to me why I also should not believe in myself just as you don't? Why do you use that system? I've done this a countless times. I don't know how many times I've done this training. And everybody will try to, maybe because I failed in the past or this. I'm like, so if I failed before, I can't believe in me today? Sell it to me. Tell me the benefits.
Yeah.
And nobody can sell this product. Nobody can convince another person to not believe in them. And we start laughing about this. Like, this doesn't make any sense at all. And the more we recognize this is irrational, it's a lie. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I know, right? And then I say, so why did you buy it?
Yeah. I like that.
Who sold it to you?
Uh-huh.
Somebody sold it to you and you bought it. And you can't even garage sale give this thing away. And yet you bought it and you sacrificed every single thing that you could be for nothing, something you can't even sell. Can we go back to this contract and get rid of that? Because you can't even use this product. We know it's a lie. Can we go ahead and get rid of I don't believe in myself? Because from the bottom of my soul, connected to yours, I do not understand why someone does not believe in themselves, because you can't even sell the idea and make it make any sense at all.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to use that.
Feel free to use that, because you'll pull some people out of hell with this one, because they can't rationalize their own doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very good.
Yeah. That's good. Thanks, Rick.
Very cool. Man, if you can't fit in, stand out. I love it, Christian. I appreciate you so much, man. It's such an honor. If you guys are listening to Christian, you guys made it this far, you're like, I got to check out this guy's stuff. He's great. Christian, what should they be doing? Where can they go? What can you get them to get more from you?
Well, if you're just sort of you just want a little bit more inspiration, some more ideas, just subscribe to my newsletter. That's probably the best way to do it. Go to christianrayflores.com. It drops twice a week. There's a free version. There's a paid version for a whopping $9 a month. You can get the paid version. And so that's probably the best thing, because you get it in your inbox twice a week. If you're one of those people that go, oh, I need to work with this guy, how do I do that? Go to exponential.life, spelled without the E, starts with an X. And in there's a really cool tool that I highly recommend you check out. And it's basically this assessment. It's called the Exponential Radar. Scorecard, rather, the personal brand. It really sort of evaluates how ready you are to build a personal brand. And it's not there to discourage you. It's there as a reality check, right? So take it. It's like 30 questions plus, takes like 5 minutes to complete. You get a report in your inbox and it's free.
It's pretty awesome. We'll have all the links in the video on this and all the things. Christian Ray Flores, it's an honor. Thank you for being here.
Honor's mine, Rick. Thank you.
Click on the button and you can become the hero in your own story. It's time to start making the choices to change. And the evolution that you're going to do begins with choosing the next step. This is the way. And together, we're always stronger.